you. I know I have. All right. So tonight's presentation, we're going to be talking about 10 health hacks for the holidays. We're in the holiday season. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for this season of gift giving and presents and all that and spending time with family? Well, I'm going to share with you 10 healthy hacks for the holidays. But just a few housekeeping rules. We're going to make sure that you silence any distractions, anything, cell phones, TVs, things, because we really want you to get this information and we want you to be able to be totally engaged. And the webinar tonight, we're roughly about 45 to 60 minutes, a little longer than Tuesday because I have a lot of information to cover. And make sure just to mute your microphone in Zoom if it hasn't already happened. So let's go right into it. And just a quick disclaimer, this information is not intended to provide any medical advice. It's not, webinar is for general education and information purposes only, okay? And for those who don't know me, and I don't know if I mentioned this on Tuesday, but those who weren't there, I'm Larry Walters. I am a health coach. I'm a public speaker. I've been doing this for over, close to 15 years now. In a few minutes, I'm gonna talk about the reasons why I'm so passionate and why I just love this work and why I've been doing this and why I want to help other people. And I am the owner and founder of Healthy Lives Matter, another health coaching ministry, and the co-founder of For Him Media Group. So let's get right into it. I've done a lot of things wrong in my time. I haven't always done things perfectly, and I still don't, okay? I've had my challenges with my health, overweight, not getting good sleep. So I've done a lot of things wrong. So I can understand where you guys are suffering and maybe needing some guidance because we all need help, okay? Now, like I said, I've been doing this for about 15 years, been teaching and, public speaking and teaching health for about 15 years now. And one thing I realized in that 15 years that there's not a one size fits all solution for everybody. Now, mind you, we do have some principles we're going to be sharing with you, but we know that everybody is different when it comes to health. So hopefully the coaches you're dealing with are coming and sharing this information with you and helping you with your specific challenges. Now, this is why I got into this. Why I really, really am passionate about this is I took care of my mother literally for 20 years. She had numerous health challenges. I never want to see the inside of a hospital that much ever again. I mean, literally, I was in and out of the hospital with her for many different health challenges, unfortunately, because of, poor lifestyle choices as other things. So I promised myself after I watched her go through all of that, and then she passed away about 11 years ago, I promised myself I would not allow myself or anyone I loved or cared about to suffer that way again needlessly. So this is a very personal work for me, not just to help you, but it's very personal. And I discovered the hard way. I spent years alongside my mother, seeing a doctor and getting to know results. And now I'm not saying you shouldn't go see a doctor, but just going and seeing a doctor and getting more pills and not getting any results that she was looking for. And I watched her spend thousands of dollars over the years of 20 years on medications that really didn't fix the problem. They actually caused more problems. I spent countless hours researching and getting to know results. So my goal is to try to find out what are the myths about health and come up with the facts about what constitutes proper health. I wanted to find out, and debunk the falsehoods about health and find out what's really true, about how to maintain good nutrition and good health. So I had to step away from some old ways of thinking. As some of you are, going through this 10-day challenge, some things you've been learning. It may be challenging the ways you've been thinking about health and the way you should eat, the times you eat, what you should eat, where, all those things. So I had to step away from some old patterns of thinking. But tonight, hopefully we're going to give you the cheat sheet. We're going to give you the easy way out by helping you to cut through all the years of research and getting online, looking up all that. So hopefully as you guys stick with us and you stick with your coach well beyond this 10 days. And as I mentioned on Tuesday, we're going to be with you for beyond the 10 days. We're going to be doing more of these weekly webinars and getting you guys into, a peer support group online so you can continue to encourage one another. We can continue to share everything that we have so that you can be successful. Okay? All right. So we believe in using principles that are timeless and universal. Okay? Now, you notice I didn't say pills. And I'm not going to get too heavy into that. I could spend some time talking about that. Unfortunately, the drug companies, they're in to make money. Now, we don't discourage you from taking medication. That's something that you have to discuss with your doctor, but we use timeless principles. And I'm going to share something you may not have heard of, blue zones. Well, I'm going to show you a brief video, and you can go online and look this up yourself, but there are populations in the world where people are living well beyond 100 years old and living and thriving healthy lives. And I'm going to show a brief video so that hopefully you can see a little bit about what these people have done and how it's going to be very similar to what we're sharing with you. All right, let's get into that video.
So one of the things we're doing today is revealing the secrets of the blue zones. It's the places on our planet where people live longer and healthier lives. Blue zone number 3 is the only one in the United States. And where is it? Let's look at our map. It's Loma Linda, California. Check this out.
So here we are, your blue zone, Loma Linda. Loma Linda is located about 60 miles east of Los Angeles, and where you'll find the group of Americans who live the longest. It's also where you'll find 9,000 followers of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Adventists are Christian. Part of their core belief includes an emphasis on diet and health. No smoking, no drinking, no eating meat or processed foods.
How you doing? Hey, how good. I didn't expect to see you there.
94-year-old Adventist, Dr. Ellsworth Wareham, can still be found in the operating room.
He still does open heart surgery. He's an amazing guy.
I get ready to scrub in with Dr. Wareham to see him in action. What makes you different?
I've been fortunate first, but I do try to follow a good lifestyle.
For Dr. Wareham, that means a vegan diet, which means no foods that contain meat, milk, or eggs. And he spends up to 10 hours a week working in his garden. You're a Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah.
How important is keeping the Sabbath?
I think it's important for an individual to have some security and peace in his life. And I get that from believing in a loving, caring God, you see. And so if he's in charge of my life, why sit around and worry? He takes care of the universe. He can certainly take care of me. So I don't worry. I don't have insomnia. I'm relaxed, and I think that's a big factor. I think that if you're old, you should keep away from old people.
That's great advice.
And keep with young people. You see, if I can keep around fellas like you, I'll be invigorated for days from having met you.
God bless you. Let's go inside the office. You've been taking people into an operating room like this since before I was born. If you would retire at age 75, which is not an irrational thing to do, you think you'd still be alive now?
I doubt if my health would be as good as it is now. And I am fearful to change anything I'm doing, because I'm not only alive, but I feel good. I'm not taking any medications.
Very time when a doctor doesn't take any medications. Let that be a lesson. That's important.
You're going to be okay. Everything's fine.
Well, Dr. Wareham said over 12,000 of these operations. And I'm a pretty busy surgeon. I'm not even close to that. And if you think about role models in your life, especially for me, he's a heart surgeon, that's him.
Dr. Ellsworth Wareham is here with his wife, Barbara. Dr. Wareham. And how long have you all been married?
58 years.
58 years. Wow, it's fantastic. So what is your best relationship advice? You've been married 58 years, you can write a book about that.
Well, I think one of the things you should do is accept people as they are. Don't try to change them. We all have different backgrounds. We have different genes. Let the person be who they are.
Let them be who they are. That's a great. Do you ever wish your husband would just come home and leave the operating room, Barbara?
People ask me that a lot, and I just say, leave him alone. He's
Leave him alone.
happy, you know.
Let him be.
I don't think he'd be nearly so happy just sitting at home.
Wow. And that's what we're talking about for all of these cultures, having something to do that gives you a plan, a joy to be.
Well, I talked to Ellsworth about this. By the way, he trained at Columbia Presbyterian, where I practiced, New York Presbyterian Hospital. And the buildings that are there, he trained with those people. It was like going through a history lesson to see how much he's seen in his life. And I think the key is you haven't retired. So you're doing the right thing.
So working on sense of purpose, before you retire, knowing what your values are, knowing what your gifts are, and where to share those gifts. That's a great investment, a much better investment than buying pills.
Yeah, I have other friends who've retired who tell me never do it, and if you're going to do it, you better have a plan, because you think you want to get off. Even Stedman says this to me, because I always think about when's the show going to end, and he was saying you better have a plan. Better have a plan.
And in these blue zones, there's not even a word for retirement. The next blue zone we'll see the word doesn't even exist. There's one word that imbues their entire adult life. So you don't even think about slowing down.
Wow. Coming up, she's 103 and still pumps iron. Wait till you meet Marge. Later, find out what foods are keeping Loma Linda young and healthy. Look at this.
Did you hear that, everyone? I don't know if they said it in the video, but that young gentleman practiced surgery until he was 93 years old. Yes, 93 years old. And if we had time, I'd show another video where there's a lady who is 82 years old, who's a bodybuilder. So there's many things. If you can go online and look up Blue Zones, you will find countless videos and articles on these individuals who are living these principles that we're going to be talking about this evening. But one thing they had in common, all of these different populations, is that they had a sense of community. They have a good diet, and they also have a religious belief. So they believe in something higher than themselves. So these are things that are common amongst these, as they call them, centenarians. So we're going to get right into these principles here in a moment. But what if I told you that you can also strengthen your immune system with these powerful principles? That sounds too good to be true, right? But research has shown that the principles we'll be sharing can boost the immune system and improve your health. And during this time of the year, that's very essential. And during this time of COVID, that is one of the main concerns, is a healthy immune system. Now, here's a definition that we talked about the other night, but those who weren't here, this is one definition of disease that I like that Hippocrates shares, and it says, illnesses, they do not come upon us out of the blue. They're developed from small daily sins against nature. And when enough sins have accumulated, illnesses will suddenly appear. So illness does not just come out of nowhere. It's not even based upon so much genetics as it is the small daily things that we're doing to the different laws of health that we are going to be talking about, that we avoid these things. We need to know that the body runs on principles. So we're going to get into these 10 healthy hacks for the holidays. And hack number 1 is a good, positive attitude. We've heard that, be happy, be positive. But unfortunately, it's amazing during this time of the year, during the holidays, that this is the happiest time of the year. But yet sometimes this is the time of year where some people are the most depressed and the most stressed out. So choosing a positive attitude can impact your ability to cope with stress and your immunity, and to make healthier choices during these holidays, okay? So here are some other benefits. Increased lifespan. One thing that they didn't say in this video, but those who follow these Blue Zone principles, that they usually live about 10 years longer than their counterparts. So increased lifespan, lower rates of depression. Depression, folks, is actually beating heart disease and stress. It's almost the #1 concern in this country right now. lower levels of distress, greater resistance to the common cold, better psychological and physical well-being, and better cardiovascular health, and reduced risk of death from cardiovascular disease, just from having a positive attitude. Because one wise person said that 9/10 of all diseases starts in the mind. So it behooves us to watch what we think about, or as one of my favorite speakers calls it, stinking thinking. We need to be careful of that stinking thinking. So here are 5 ways to stay positive during the holidays. 1, focus on what's going right. You know, we're in this time of this pandemic, and yes, we could moan and complain. You know, there are days I'm frustrated with the pandemic. I'm frustrated what's going on in this world, but I choose to sit down and think that, hey, there's a lot of good. I could be homeless right now. I could be in poor health. I could have COVID, or I could be dead. So I look at what's right and realize we're not alone. You know, I may not be close to them because I'm not from here. I may not have my family around me, but I have friends. I have people who care about me. And I just choose to think of those things, that you're not alone. And we're here to support you through this health journey. And avoid unnecessary stress. What do I mean by unnecessary stress? Because there is necessary stress, you know, and I'm not going to get too much into that now, but unnecessary stress is worrying about your bills, or worrying about, you know, I hear a lot of people who are stressed out because they can't buy Christmas presents for their children or for their family members. And that's unfortunate, but don't allow those things to stress you, or Christmas shopping, or unfortunately, there are people who may have lost their jobs due to COVID. Now that may not be unnecessary, but you can't control that. So we want to help you to understand that, hey, we believe in a higher power. And if you don't, I don't know what you believe in, but I believe in a higher power. And if it wasn't for my belief in that higher power, I don't know where I would be. So that's how I avoid unnecessary stress. And spend time with those who are less fortunate. There are times I go and volunteer at the homeless shelter, or with those who are at the nursing homes, where people don't go spend time with these people. Give your permission to stay well. You know, you need to give yourself permission to say, hey, and this 10-day challenge is evidence of that, to stay well, mentally and physically, and even spiritually. And number 6, harvest the attitude of gratitude. You know, we should always have that grateful attitude. You know, we should even have one speaker said that we should have a gratitude list, and we should write down everything you're grateful for before going to bed. And when you do that, you sleep better and you feel better, because you'll be surprised at how many things you really can be grateful for. Sometimes we say, well, I don't have this, and I don't, have money to go buy Christmas presents, or I don't have, a bigger place to live, but you do have a place to live. You may not like your job, but you have a job. You may not, have a lot of money, but you have money. You may not have everything you want to eat, but you have something to eat. So these are just some things that we wanted to give you as benefits of a positive attitude. Okay. So let's move on to hack number 2. Exercise. Oh my goodness. Some of us, we say, oh, I don't like exercise. I don't like going to the gym. But guess what, folks? You don't have to go to the gym. If you paid attention to that video of Dr. Wareham, who's 90, well, now I believe he's a little over 100 years old. That video is about 5 years old, but he was gardening in his 90s. It's healthy to keep movement. So you don't have to go to a gym. You can walk, you can work in your garden, play with your grandkids. If you have grandchildren, just stay active. And if you noticed in that interview, they asked the doctor, about retiring. Never retire. Your body was meant to be in motion. Okay, so some of the facts about physical activity is that it can even help to flush bacteria out of your lungs and airways. Did you know that? Put a number 1 in the chat if you knew that. This may even reduce your chance of getting a cold, flu, or other illnesses just by staying active. Isn't that amazing news? Exercise causes change in antibodies and white blood cells, and these white blood cells are the body's immune system cells that fight disease. We need to move. One wise person put it like this: perfect health depends upon perfect circulation. And the only way your lymphatic system and your body gets that, the moving your immune system and getting those impurities out of you, is you have to move and get that out of your system. It also boosts your immune system within minutes. So just try to find time to go for a walk, long, short, go, like I said, walk, I think Brother Gabriel mentioned the other day, a block and a mailbox, a block and a mailbox. I like to call it the 12-step program. If you can go outdoors and take 12 steps, everybody can do 12 steps. And guess what? If you can do 12 steps, you can do 12 more steps. And just keep building upon that, but get moving. Physical inactivity is a main cause, did you hear this, of chronic illness. They say that inactivity is the new smoking. Inactivity is the new smoking. Your body, when it's not in motion, because guess what, folks? Let's just paint the typical day of the average person today. We get up in the morning, we go to our jobs, we're sitting in a car, we sit at a job at our desk most of the day for most jobs. You get up maybe to go to your break to the lunchroom, but then you sit back down, get off from work, sit in the car, commute to get home, sit on the couch to watch TV, maybe sit at the table, eat dinner, then lay down for 8 hours, get up, and you repeat this vicious cycle of inactivity. Even if you're watching your favorite TV program, stand in front of the TV. I've even done this, and I walk in place for that 20, 30 minutes I'm watching the news or whatever it is. Just get active. Now, some of the benefits are that, like I said, it flushes bacteria out of the lungs and airways. It reduces your chance of getting a cold, flu, or even other illnesses. And the last point was it boosts your immune system within minutes. So get active. Let's move on to hack number 3. Hack number 3, time with others. Oh, isn't that a wonderful picture of the family getting together? I know this pandemic has really been unnerving to a lot of people, these quarantines. Some states California's locking it back down again. And I know that could be hard, but if you live with family or you can still get with people or just spend time with others, because investing time in others, guess what? It improves your mental and your physical health, and it increases, here it is again, longevity. It is also said that time around others, especially positive people, because you can spend time around people that may not be too positive, but it keeps you from more than likely engaging in negative behavior when you spend time with positive people. Now, an unbalanced immune system, and especially in an inflamed state, appears to influence our brain function, contributing to feelings of social isolation, as well as other mental states that may compromise our interactions with others, okay? Now, I think I quoted this the other day, but one of my favorite doctors, Dr. Dean Ornish, he's very, very popular. He says, I'm not aware of any other factor in medicine that has a greater impact on our survival than the healing power of love and intimacy. Not diet, not smoking, not exercise, not stress, not genetics, not drugs, not even surgery. The power of love and intimacy with people. That's free, folks. These principles are absolutely free. And strong relationships can also help to strengthen your immune system, help you recover from illnesses, and may even lengthen your life. There it is again. So let's just recap those benefits again. Improves mental and physical health, strengthens your immune system, helps you recover from illness, and increases your lifespan. Just spend some time with the family. Just get together with people. If you belong to a church, get with your church family. If you have children, grandchildren, do whatever you can to have those healthy relationships. So hack number 4, let's get into that. Sunlight. Now I know it's a little challenging at this time of year when the sun goes down a little earlier, but hey, those who do work, like today at noon, I went out and went for a walk after my lunch. And I made sure I got some sunlight because sunlight on the skin produces vitamin D. We all heard about vitamin D. We drink your milk, get vitamin D, but the best source of vitamin D comes from sunlight. And that vitamin D is a hormone, and that hormone boosts your immunity and your mood because it creates serotonin, which I like to call the happy hormone. And guess what? That serotonin helps you to have a good mood and helps to produce melatonin at night, which is another hormone which induces sleep. We need to get outdoors and get that sunlight. A study was done that found that sunlight energizes T cells that play a central role in immunity. There it is again. Researchers finding this out. Sunlight is antimicrobial. There's evidence that it can kill viruses. The flu virus, I believe I even found an article that says even the coronavirus, viruses. So get your sunlight. So let's recap on that. Boosts your immunity and your mood. Energizes T cells and kills the flu virus. Isn't that amazing? Unfortunately, a lot of people who are depressed are just deprived of getting outdoors into that fresh air and that sunlight. So if you're feeling down, just go outdoors and breathe in some fresh air and get the sunlight and get those healthy rays on your skin. Okay, hack number 5, temperance. All right, temperance. Well, what does that mean? Well, temperance is doing those things that are good for your health and not those things that are bad or even good and bad at the same time. What do I mean by that? There are some who believe that, you may have heard it out there, well, just be moderate, do everything in moderation. Well, poison you shouldn't do in moderation because any form of poison is not good for your system. So you should take in those things that are good for you and avoid those things that are harmful to you, to make it simple for you. Now, research shows that it takes about 75 grams of sugar. The reason why I'm bringing up sugar, because this is, okay, let me finish this point here. 75 grams of sugar to weaken the immune system. And once the white blood cells are affected, it's thought that the immune system is lowered for about 5 hours after consumption. We're in what we call flu season. We've all been hearing that for years. It's flu season. Well, you know what, ladies and gentlemen, really, it's sugar season. And it's sugar is what causes us to get sick. That's why on the news, they're saying this surge of the coronavirus is what it is, because from about the end of December, about the end of October, what happens in October? What happens? Halloween, overconsumption of candy. Then what happens in November? Thanksgiving. Well, we sometimes overindulge in a lot of cakes and pies and other desserts that maybe we normally would not eat. And guess what happens in December? Christmas parties at the job, all the cookies and all the pies and candies. And then we have in January, and then we have February and Valentine's. So it's sugar season. And I did a little research. 1 can of soda is 36 grams of sugar, roughly. So just a couple of cans of soda will almost wipe out your immune system for the day. It totally lowers your immune system and able to fight off these infections. So this sugar reduces the body circulation. Just a few teaspoons of this sugar each day will almost, here it is, completely suppress your immune system from working properly. Most people have not ever heard that before, but it is, and when I say sugar, I'm talking about the processed sugar that's in food, or that's in sweets. I'm not talking about sugar from fruit. Okay, we're gonna watch a short video from a health professional that's gonna validate everything I just said.
My name is Christine Marquette, and I'm a registered and licensed dietitian with the Austin Regional Clinic, and I'm going to talk to you about the question, does sugar affect the immune system? There's been a lot of commentary from various organizations on sugar and its effects on the immune system. And even some of the editors at WebMD agree that an excess amount of refined sugar, such as sugar found in soda waters or in cakes or pastries, does have a depressive effect on the immune system. For example, an intake between 75 and 100 grams of refined sugar taken in all at once has been shown to cause a decreased effect of your immune system. So for this reason, reason, you do want to make sure that you're avoiding an excessive amount of any type of refined sugar. For example, if you were to drink a 32-ounce big gulp that was a regular soda water, that would be well above that 75-gram level of sugar and would put you at risk of catching a cold or some other type of virus if you were around people who were sick. So sugar actually has been shown to decrease the immune system. Again, this is refined sugar. This isn't the sugar that you would find naturally in your fruits or even sugar found in starchy carbohydrates, things like potatoes or whole grains or breads. It's primarily the refined sugar that you would find in beverages and in pastries.
There you have it. And I know that's a challenge for many of us because I just to tell my quick testimony, I was a Little Debbie snack cakeaholic, and I did a test on myself for several months. I went without a lot of processed sugar, and I tried to go back after my test and try to eat it, and I couldn't even hardly stand the piece of cookie. I had to spit it out of my mouth, and that showed me something. We actually train ourselves to love sugar. You know, little children don't like sugar until you give it to them. But my point is this. It is, you know, we can, and I'm saying all this to make my point that if we train our children to like sugar, because if you try to give sugar to a small child or a baby, it literally would spit it out of its mouth because white processed sugar is acidic. And that's what happened to me. I couldn't even stand it because I was immune to it for a long time. But then when I got away from it for 8 months and tried to eat it again, I couldn't even stand it on my tongue. So our taste buds, I believe, change every 7 days. So if you could just even discipline yourself to start, I'm not even telling you to stop eating sugar altogether. That's not my job to tell you what to do. We just recommend. But I recommend if you want to have a healthy immune system and start to fight off these viruses, coronaviruses, and to have that peace of mind and assurance, start to try to wean yourself off and replace. And guess what I did to get off of that sugar? I replaced that sugar, that craving for that sugar with fruit. I would make smoothies and anything like that with fruit, and it curbed that craving. Okay, so some of the benefits of being tempered are is just it acts as a natural disinfectant. It kills the flu virus and other harmful germs, and it strengthens your immune system. So just staying away from these things, you know, and staying away from the sugar, it helps us with these things. So you're seeing a trend here. All of these principles of health that we do, whether it's abstaining from something or adding something positive, you know. And then another quick story that I want to mention to you, I remember a gentleman who went to a nutritionist, and he was about 100 pounds overweight. And he had a hard time because he struggled with eating chocolate. He loved chocolate. And he was to his surprise, he thought the dietitian was going to tell him to, you know, fuss at him about eating that chocolate, just quit eating chocolate. Well, what she did, she told him to do what I did. She told him to go home and eat a piece of fruit every day. And after several weeks, he came back almost 100 pounds lighter. And he couldn't believe that that's all it was. His body was craving the nutrients from the fruit. Okay, so hack number 6, getting fresh air. Research shows that outdoor air, and you notice I say outdoor air, is a natural disinfectant. Once again, air is a disinfectant, sunlight's a disinfectant. Fresh air can kill the flu virus. These are things I've researched on the internet, so I didn't just make this up. And other harmful germs. Those who get outside and breathe fresh, clean air on a regular basis have been shown to have stronger immune systems than those who stay indoors. Unfortunately, indoors, we're breathing in a lot of the fumes from these artificial environments, the carpeting, the paints and all those things, and it's very toxic. We need to get outdoors. And when you're not outdoors, you need to make sure your windows in your home are cracked, even in the wintertime. And, you know, I always keep it just a little bit cracked when it's cold, but nonetheless, keep it cracked so you can have some sort of fresh air to cleanse the environment and you can breathe it in, especially at night. You sleep better. This means less illness overall, and your body has an easier time fighting off germs. So let's just recap on that. So fresh air acts as a natural disinfectant. It kills the flu, strengthens the immune system. Are you seeing a trend, ladies and gentlemen? all of these principles so far have some of the same effects on flu and viruses and the immune system. And all of these principles are free. So hack number 7 is getting good rest. Well, how many of us are getting good sleep? One of the number one problems in this country is that we're a nation of insomniacs. And guess the reason why we're such an insomnia? We're just such a nation of insomniacs. We have a lot of artificial things that cause us to not get that proper rest. What are some of these things? Cell phones, television, video games, just artificial lights everywhere. So it behooves us to try to find ways to shut things down earlier in the evening so that we can get that good rest, because studies show that people who don't get quality sleep or enough sleep are more likely to get sick after being exposed to a virus. There you go. And there's some extensive studies. I have whole presentations on each one of these principles. They would take about an hour a piece. So I'm just giving you nuggets on each one of these principles. But just stick with us over beyond this 10 days, and you're going to be learning more about these principles. We're going to have more, but just know that just getting good sleep at night. And a lot of people say, oh, I can't sleep, I need the TV on. Well, that TV is actually what's going to keep you awake because of the blue light emissions and from the noise. We need it to be dark. And when I say dark, there should be no artificial light in your room. And melatonin that I mentioned earlier is the hormone that induces sleep. But guess what? It only is produced in the dark. So if you have a blue lights coming from your cell phone, from the television set, from video games, or whatever it is that you're doing, it almost cancels that out. And the best hours to get your rest are between the hours of roughly about 8 p.m. and about 2 a.m. After that, the melatonin production just pretty much just wanes away. And I don't know if we mentioned on Tuesday, but if you get that good rest between the hours of 8, really 8 and midnight is your best hours, you get double the hours of rest. And I can prove it. I went to bed at 8 o'clock last night. And guess what? I woke up around midnight and I felt like I had slept all night long. And that was only about 4 hours of sleep. But guess what? I got probably about 6 or more hours of sleep in a matter of 4 hours because I went to bed during those good, restful hours. Sleep deprivation, both short-term, long-term, can affect your immune system and therefore your resistance to disease. Even 3 hours of lost sleep on a single night can reduce the effectiveness of your immune system by 50%. That's a lot, ladies and gentlemen. So lack of sleep can also affect how fast you recover when you get sick. Good sleepers tend to eat fewer calories. There's a whole teaching behind that. I can't get into it tonight. There's hormones in your brain that turn on and off the hunger signal. So if you hear people say, I got to get my midnight munchies, there's a hormone that turns on the hunger signal. But if you stay up past a certain time, it turns on when it shouldn't be on. So you really shouldn't be hungry at midnight. You should be asleep. So let's recap. So it reduces the risk of getting sick, aids in the recovery from illness, and good sleepers tend to eat fewer calories. Okay, let's get on to hack number 8. Trust. I don't know what everyone believes, but it has been scientifically proven that those who have a belief in a higher power, whether it be God or whatever, but believing in something outside yourself, people tend to have healthier lives. But just a quick fact about stress is that 43% of all adults suffer adverse health effects from stress. And this fact is even before coronavirus. It's even bigger than that. So we need to learn to trust in something bigger than ourselves, trust in the principles that we're sharing with you so that you can trust more and stress less, ladies and gentlemen. When we're stressed, the immune system's ability to fight off antigens is reduced. That's why we are more susceptible to infections. The stress hormone, cortisol, can suppress the effectiveness of the immune system. And I mentioned this on Tuesday, 75 to 90% of all doctors' visits are stress related. So that's a good portion of everybody that walks in the doctor's office are going there because something that started in the mind. Stress tears down the immune system. And I mentioned on the Tuesday night meeting about it was all on stress. If you're holding on to anger, you're holding on to bitterness, you're upset with somebody from 15, 20 years ago. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, those people have gone on and they have forgotten all about why they hurt you. And I'm sharing that because I went through that. Someone hurt me and I went on for 5 years angry at someone because they did something to me and I was mad at them. And guess what? They didn't even remember anything about it. I had to approach them 5 years later. I was getting sick, having all kinds of headaches, worrying about them not paying me back a bunch of money. And guess what? They went on with their life until I told them they were living happy while I was stressed. Trusting in something bigger than yourself and these principles reduces the level of stress. It helps the immune system. You see the consistency of all these health principles. Let's move on to hack number 9. Eating healthy. Well, that's one of the big things we've been doing during this 10-day challenge, been giving these wonderful, healthy, life-giving meals. And I'm sure many of you have been losing weight. Guess what? I got on the scale. I've lost 5 pounds, guys. Hey, I can always do better. I'm a health coach and a health advocate. I've been a vegan for over 20 years. I can always do better. Well, some of the facts about eating healthy is that it's essential to a strong immune system, which may offer protection from seasonal illness and other health problems. As I mentioned here it is again, and sugar is an immune suppressor. As little as 3 to 5 ounces can suppress your immune system up to 5 hours. Okay, we're going to watch in our last video that's going to talk a little bit about this, about sugar and how it suppresses the immune system. Now, this one doesn't have any talking. It's all just music, but just watch it. Okay, did you see that? I know there was no talking and I don't know how well you're able to read some of that, But just to recap on that, but here are some of the things that recapped from the video. Sugar decreases the production of antibiotics. Sugar interferes in the transport of vitamin C into cells. Sugar causes mineral imbalances, which weaken the immune system, as we mentioned. Sugar feeds the unhealthy bacteria and fungi in the gut. And sugar destroys the germ-killing ability of white blood cells for up to 5 hours. Here it is again. So good nutrition is essential to a strong immune system. As we continue to mention, it may offer protection from seasonal illness, and sugar is an immune suppressor. So we just need to find those healthy alternatives. As it mentioned in the video, is that eat more fruit. See, one thing that this wasn't in my notes, but I just want to mention this. When we feel hungry and we're craving something, you know what the body is really craving? The body does not crave food. The body doesn't say, "Ooh, I crave a hamburger. I crave pizza. I crave chicken. I crave broccoli." It doesn't crave any of those things. The only thing the cells in the body wants is the nutrients from the foods that we consume. And the reason why a lot of people are constantly hungry, in a constant state of hunger, is because they don't get the right nutrients from the foods in the first place. And most processed foods are totally devoid of nutrients and fiber that make you feel hungry, make you feel full. So I'm just giving you some other little tips on, as you're making a transition into living a better life, you say, hey, when I add this to my diet, will it feed my cell? Will it nourish my system? One author says that we are a nation that are overfed but undernourished. We're getting enough food in our system, but we're not getting enough nutrition in our diets. Okay, let's move on to number 10 so we can keep with our time. We're getting to that hour mark. Drinking plenty of water. Now, we know about water, and we gave you guys a big jug of water, and hopefully you've been keeping up with, if you have a water bottle or whatever, but sipping water throughout the day will wash any bacteria or viruses into your stomach, where your stomach acid will destroy them. How many of you knew that? Put a number 1 in the chat if you knew that. Just drinking water, and notice I'm using the word sipping water throughout the day. Unfortunately, if at any time throughout the day if you feel really thirsty, guess what, ladies and gentlemen, you're dehydrated. And what I've seen a lot of people do is they'll go majority of the day without water, and then halfway through the day or at the end of the day, they'll take a big jug of water and just guzzle down the whole jug of water or a big glass of water. Only time you should do that is in the morning, when you want to activate your digestive tract and get all the toxins out. But through the day, you should be sipping it, just getting so the water can actually get into your cell and actually get in there. And because if you drink too fast, it'll just flush right through your system and not even get into your cells. So drinking water helps to eliminate bacteria and toxins from your body, which may positively impact your immune system. Once again, your immune system. Drinking plenty of water during the day keeps you from overeating. Isn't that something? Because guess what? What most people don't understand is that there are little stretch receptors in your stomach. So when your stomach is full, these little signals in the lining of your stomach sends a signal to your brain saying, we're full. And did you also know that, a little bonus tip, that they have found over the past several years, that there's another cluster of neurons in the body. Neurons are brain cells. Guess where they're found? In the stomach. That's how your stomach and your brain communicate with one another. So if you drink plenty of water throughout the day, not with your meal, but between your meals, it actually will keep you, giving you that full feeling, so you're not tempted to go snacking in between your meals. Now, when the stomach senses that it's full, there it is. Okay, I guess I jumped ahead of myself. It sends signals to the brain to stop eating. Water can help take up space in the stomach. So there it is, reducing hunger. So just to recap on that, drinking water, it eliminates bacteria and toxins. It helps to burn calories and aids in weight loss. Did you know that? If you drink tons of water, it helps with weight loss. It curbs your hunger. Drinking water 30 minutes before meals curbs overeating. Just very simple tips nothing complicated if you start to adopt these different principles. And as we did, those who didn't get it, but Brother Gabe, and we're going to be making copies of this, and because we record these meetings, and we can send you the links so you can watch the replay. So if you want to share with your family, or if you want to just watch it again, so you can kind of get this in your mind, because sometimes it takes several times to watch this and hear it over and over to get it in your system. Okay, so that was the end of that presentation. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. That we have a couple of minutes that we can answer a couple questions. If not, we can go ahead and end, but anybody?
How were the beverages sweetened that we were given this week?
I believe like the tea, if you're referring to like the smoothies and the teas, I believe the smoothies were like with,
you know, even the smoothie was a little sweet. That was probably from the fruit. But
exactly.
Yeah. So what were you using in the tea?
I believe that was agave nectar. Have you heard of agave nectar?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some good and bad.
Okay. Oh, well. Now, Brother Gabe, did you have anything you want to say? I see you popped up there.
Oh, no. I just was,
okay. Because I wasn't one back to actually cooking it, but I know that agave was one of it. And I put it like this, everybody's different, because I have a friend that actually, he grew up not eating sugar at all. And this proves my point from earlier. He couldn't even eat bananas. He said bananas were too sweet for him. So I'm saying to say that everybody's taste buds are different. So maybe it maybe it was the fruit, you know. And then in the tea, there was stevia, I believe, in the detox tea that came with the tea. And stevia, the stevia plant is actually way more, it's a lot sweeter than traditional sugar, but it's not bad for you like sugar. So that also could be what you've been tasting too. Anybody else?
Yes, I had a quick question. For someone who is diabetic, I know that the eating plan that you recommend will help to reverse diabetes over time.